Behind some of the quietest social media profiles are often the deepest minds and the most emotionally aware people. In a world where millions of photos, opinions, and personal updates are uploaded every minute, a small group of people chooses a very different path. They scroll, observe, listen, and understand, yet they rarely place themselves at the center of attention. While others feel comfortable sharing every detail of their lives, many empaths remain surprisingly invisible. Their accounts may seem inactive, their personal posts may be rare, and their private lives often stay hidden from public view. At first glance, this can look like shyness, insecurity, or a lack of confidence. But psychology suggests a very different story. The truth is that many empaths experience social media in ways that most people never fully understand. What appears to be simple online interaction can feel emotionally exhausting to someone who naturally absorbs the moods, emotions, and energy of others. Every post, every argument, every celebration, and every piece of bad news can create an emotional impact that lingers much longer than people realize. Because of this, many empaths develop habits that seem unusual in today's digital culture. They often share less, reveal less, and protect parts of themselves that others freely display online. What makes this even more interesting is that their silence is rarely accidental. In many cases, it is a conscious decision shaped by personality, emotional intelligence, and a deep understanding of human behavior. Some empaths prefer genuine connection over public attention. Others value privacy more than popularity. Many simply do not feel the same need for likes, approval, or constant visibility that drives so much activity on social media today. These patterns have caught the attention of psychologists who study empathy, emotional sensitivity, social behavior, and the effects of digital environments on the human mind. As this video unfolds, you will discover why so many empaths avoid sharing personal details online, why they often choose observation over participation, and why their relationship with social media is very different from what most people expect. You will learn how emotional sensitivity affects online behavior, why privacy can become a form of self-protection, and why some of the strongest people are often the least visible. You may even recognize certain habits in yourself that suddenly begin to make sense. Some of the reasons are well known, but others are rarely discussed and reveal a side of empathy that most people never notice. By the end of this video, you will understand that staying hidden online is not always a sign of weakness. In many cases, it reflects self-awareness, emotional strength, and a different way of interacting with the world. The final reason may completely change the way you view quiet people on social media and explain why many empaths feel more comfortable being present in real life than performing for an audience online. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy psychology, human behavior, emotional intelligence, and fascinating insights into the empath mind, make sure to subscribe and join our growing community. Now let's explore why so many empaths choose to remain almost invisible on social media. To understand why many empaths stay unusually quiet on social media, it is important to first understand what an empath actually is. The word empath is often used casually online, but the psychology behind it is much deeper than most people realize. At its core, empathy is the ability to understand and feel what another person is experiencing. It allows someone to recognize emotions, connect with people, and respond with compassion. Almost everyone has some degree of empathy. It is one of the qualities that helps human beings build relationships and communities. An empath, however, tends to experience this ability at a much higher level. While an empathetic person can understand another person's feelings, an empath often feels those emotions so strongly that they seem to absorb them. The sadness of a friend, the anxiety of a stranger, or the tension in a room can affect them in ways that are difficult to ignore. Their emotional awareness is often constantly active. They notice changes in tone, facial expressions, body language, and emotional energy that many people miss. Because their minds are naturally tuned to emotional information, they process social experiences differently from most people. This heightened awareness does not automatically make life easier. In fact, it can make everyday situations more emotionally demanding. An empath may walk away from a conversation carrying emotions that do not even belong to them. They may spend hours thinking about how someone else feels. They often notice hidden pain behind smiles, insecurity behind confidence, and loneliness behind popularity. This deep sensitivity shapes how they interact with the world, including how they interact online. Social media may appear to be nothing more than a collection of photos, videos, and comments, but for an empath it can feel like a giant emotional environment. Every post carries emotion, every comment reflects a mood, every argument creates tension, every tragic news story spreads sadness. While many people scroll through these things without much emotional impact, empaths often process them much more deeply. This is one reason why their online behavior can seem very different from the behavior of others. One of the biggest reasons empaths avoid constant social media activity is that they value authenticity more than attention. Modern social media platforms often reward visibility. The more people share, the more attention they receive. Many users learn to present carefully selected versions of themselves. They post achievements, exciting moments, attractive photos, and personal milestones. There is nothing inherently wrong with this. However, many empaths feel uncomfortable participating in a culture that sometimes prioritizes appearance over genuine connection. They are often less interested in being seen and more interested in being understood. They do not always find satisfaction in collecting likes, followers, or public approval. Instead, they tend to value meaningful conversations and authentic relationships. This difference becomes clearer when psychologists talk about intrinsic and extrinsic validation. Extrinsic validation comes from external sources. It includes praise, attention, recognition, and approval from other people. Intrinsic validation comes from within. It comes from personal values, inner satisfaction, and the feeling that one is living in alignment with what matters most. Many social media platforms are built around extrinsic rewards. Notifications, likes, comments, and shares all encourage people to seek external approval. Empaths often find themselves less motivated by these rewards. Their emotional needs are frequently met through deeper experiences, such as meaningful conversations, helping others, learning, reflecting, or building genuine trust. As a result, the idea of constantly promoting themselves online can feel unnatural. Many empaths struggle with self-promotion because it conflicts with their internal focus. They may worry that talking too much about themselves takes attention away from others. They may question whether a post is truly necessary before sharing it. They often spend more time thinking about the impact of their words than about the attention those words might generate. This can lead to long periods of silence online. While others post several times a day, an empath may spend weeks or months simply observing. Their silence is often mistaken for insecurity, but in reality it may reflect a completely different set of priorities. Another major reason many empaths remain less visible online is that social media can feel emotionally overwhelming. Every day, users are exposed to a non-stop stream of information. News headlines compete for attention. Political arguments fill comment sections. Personal conflicts become public entertainment. Stories of tragedy appear next to stories of celebration. Emotional highs and lows are packed together into a single endless feed. For many people, this creates background noise. For an empath, it can feel like standing in the middle of a crowded room where hundreds of emotional conversations are happening at once. Psychologists sometimes use the term emotional contagion to describe the way emotions spread from one person to another. People naturally influence each other's emotional states. A happy person can lift the mood of a group. An angry person can create tension. Emotional contagion happens both offline and online. Social media allows emotions to travel rapidly through networks of people. A single emotional post can affect thousands or even millions of users. Because empaths tend to be highly sensitive to emotional signals, they often absorb these emotional currents more intensely. They may feel stressed after reading heated arguments. They may feel sadness after seeing stories of suffering. They may even feel exhausted after spending too much time scrolling through emotionally charged content. The challenge is that social media rarely pauses. New information arrives constantly. New emotions appear every minute. Many empaths eventually realize that endless exposure to emotional stimulation comes at a cost. Their minds need time to process what they absorb. Without that recovery time, emotional fatigue can build up. This is one reason many empaths limit their online activity. They may intentionally reduce screen time. They may avoid certain platforms altogether. They may become highly selective about the content they consume. These choices are often forms of self-protection rather than signs of social withdrawal. Protecting emotional energy is another powerful reason why empaths choose to stay less visible online. Emotional energy is a concept that many people understand intuitively. Some interactions leave us feeling refreshed. Others leave us feeling drained. Empaths often experience these effects very strongly. Because they naturally absorb emotional information, they can become emotionally exhausted more quickly than people who are less sensitive. For this reason, boundaries become extremely important. Social media can make boundaries difficult to maintain. A personal post may invite hundreds of opinions. A simple comment can lead to unexpected conflict. Sharing personal details can attract attention from strangers whose intentions are impossible to predict. Many empaths become aware of this dynamic early on. They recognize that increased visibility often brings increased emotional demands. More messages require more responses. More attention creates more expectations. More exposure increases the chances of encountering negativity. Rather than placing themselves at the center of these emotional exchanges, many choose to remain private. Psychology offers another useful concept here: overstimulation. Human beings have limits when it comes to processing information. When too much stimulation enters the mind at once, stress levels rise. Concentration becomes more difficult. Emotional regulation becomes harder. Because empaths are highly attuned to emotional signals, they may reach this point of overstimulation faster than others. A feed filled with opinions, arguments, advertisements, notifications, and emotional stories can become mentally exhausting. Staying less active online becomes a practical way to reduce this overload. Many empaths also understand that attention is not always positive. Visibility can attract support, but it can also attract criticism, misunderstanding, and conflict. Since empaths tend to think deeply about emotions and relationships, they often prefer to avoid unnecessary drama. They may choose peace over popularity. They may choose privacy over public recognition. Their goal is not necessarily to disappear, but to protect the emotional resources that allow them to function at their best. Another fascinating trait often found in empaths is their tendency to observe more than they share. In a culture where many people feel pressure to constantly express themselves, empaths frequently take the opposite approach. They watch, they listen, they notice details, they pay attention to patterns in behavior. They often learn more by observing than by speaking. This habit begins long before social media enters the picture. Many empaths develop strong observational skills because they are naturally interested in understanding people. They want to know what motivates behavior, what emotions lie beneath words, and what hidden struggles others may be experiencing. When they enter online spaces, this tendency continues. Instead of posting constantly, they often spend time quietly observing interactions. They notice how people respond to praise. They notice how people react to criticism. They notice how emotions spread through groups. They pay attention to the difference between public images and private realities. Because they are highly aware of social dynamics, they often see patterns that others overlook. This observational mindset can sometimes make empaths appear distant, but that appearance is often misleading. They may be deeply engaged with what is happening around them. They simply do not feel the need to announce every thought or experience. Listening often feels more natural than broadcasting. Understanding feels more important than performing. They may learn more from reading comments than from posting their own. They may gain more satisfaction from meaningful private conversations than from public interactions. There is also an interesting connection between empathy and certain introverted traits. Not every empath is introverted, and not every introvert is an empath. However, the two characteristics sometimes overlap. Introverted individuals often recharge through solitude and reflection. Empaths frequently need similar periods of recovery because of the emotional information they absorb throughout the day. As a result, many empaths develop habits that prioritize reflection over visibility. They think before they speak, they process before they react, they observe before they participate. In the fast-moving world of social media, these habits can make them seem unusually quiet, even though a rich and active inner world may be unfolding beneath the surface. Another reason many empaths avoid putting themselves at the center of social media is their deep fear of being misunderstood. This fear is not necessarily caused by insecurity. It often comes from the way empaths process communication. Many empaths spend a great deal of time thinking before they speak. They carefully consider the meaning behind their words. They think about how those words might affect other people. They often try to communicate with honesty, sensitivity, and emotional accuracy. Because of this, they tend to view communication as something important rather than something casual. A simple sentence may carry layers of meaning for them. A conversation may stay in their minds long after it has ended. They often want people to understand not just what they are saying, but also what they truly mean. Social media, however, operates very differently. Most platforms are built for speed. People scroll quickly, they react quickly, they judge quickly. Posts are often consumed in seconds. Context is easily lost. Tone is difficult to read. A thoughtful message can be misunderstood. A joke can be taken seriously. A personal opinion can spark unexpected criticism. For many empaths, this creates discomfort. They know how easily words can be interpreted in different ways. They understand that people bring their own emotions, experiences, and assumptions into every interaction. Because of this awareness, they may hesitate before posting personal thoughts or feelings online. Many empaths have experienced situations where their intentions were misunderstood. They may have tried to help someone and been accused of interfering. They may have expressed concern and been viewed as critical. They may have shared vulnerability and been met with judgment rather than understanding. These experiences leave an impression. Over time, they can create caution. Instead of posting freely, empaths often begin asking themselves questions. Will people understand what I mean? Will this create unnecessary conflict? Is this worth explaining if someone misunderstands it? The more emotionally aware a person becomes, the more they recognize how often misunderstandings occur. Psychologists often discuss the importance of emotional accuracy. Emotional accuracy refers to the ability to correctly understand and communicate emotions. For empaths, this is often very important. They want communication to reflect reality. They want feelings to be understood correctly. They want emotional experiences to be respected rather than simplified. Social media can make this difficult because complex emotions are often reduced to short captions, quick reactions, or simplified labels. Many empaths feel that important parts of their experiences cannot be fully captured in a post. As a result, they may choose silence over the risk of being misunderstood. This tendency becomes even stronger when personal topics are involved. Many empaths carry rich inner lives filled with thoughts, reflections, and emotional insights. Yet they often share only a small fraction of these experiences publicly, not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand that not every audience is prepared to understand what they mean. Some emotions require trust, some conversations require depth, some experiences deserve more than a few seconds of attention. Rather than exposing deeply personal parts of themselves to quick judgments, many empaths keep those parts private. This naturally leads to another reason why empaths tend to stay less visible online. Validation is often not their main motivation. In today's digital world, attention has become a form of currency. Many social media platforms are designed to reward visibility. Likes, shares, comments, and followers provide immediate feedback. For some people, these rewards become highly motivating. They create excitement. They create anticipation. They encourage continued engagement. There is nothing unusual about enjoying positive feedback. Human beings naturally appreciate recognition. However, many empaths relate to these rewards differently. Empaths often find fulfillment through internal experiences rather than external approval. They may feel satisfied after helping someone through a difficult time. They may feel fulfilled after learning something meaningful. They may feel peace after spending time with people they care about. These experiences provide a sense of value that does not depend on public recognition. Because their emotional rewards often come from within, they may feel less attracted to the validation systems built into social media. Psychologists describe this difference through a concept known as self-determination theory. This theory suggests that people are most fulfilled when their actions are guided by internal motivations rather than external rewards. Internal motivations come from personal values, curiosity, growth, and genuine interest. External motivations come from rewards such as praise, status, approval, and recognition. While everyone experiences both types of motivation, empaths often place greater importance on internal rewards. They care more about whether something feels meaningful than whether it receives attention. This difference influences how they behave online. Many people post because they enjoy sharing their lives with others. Others post because they enjoy the attention that follows. Empaths may occasionally do both, but they often feel less dependent on external feedback. A post receiving hundreds of likes may not create the same sense of fulfillment that a meaningful conversation creates. Public recognition may feel temporary. Genuine connection feels more significant. This is one reason many empaths appear indifferent to online popularity. They may not track follower counts. They may not constantly check notifications. They may not feel compelled to share every achievement or milestone. Their sense of worth is often rooted elsewhere. It comes from their character, relationships, values, and personal growth rather than public attention. This does not mean they reject appreciation. It simply means they do not rely on it to feel valuable. Many empaths also recognize how unpredictable external validation can be. Online approval can rise and fall quickly. A post that receives praise one day may receive criticism the next. Trends change. Audiences change. Public opinion changes. Building self-worth around these shifting factors can feel unstable. Because empaths often seek emotional stability, They may prefer to anchor their confidence in something deeper and more reliable. This makes them less likely to chase visibility for its own sake. As their understanding of themselves grows, many empaths begin placing greater value on privacy. Privacy often feels safer to them than exposure. This is not because they are hiding something. It is because personal experiences carry deep meaning. Many empaths view certain parts of life as sacred. They believe that not every moment needs to be shared. Not every emotion needs to be displayed. Not every lesson needs to be announced publicly. Modern culture often encourages people to document everything. Meals are photographed. Vacations are recorded. Personal milestones are shared instantly. While many people enjoy this level of openness, empaths often take a different approach. They may choose to fully experience important moments rather than immediately broadcasting them. They may keep meaningful memories within trusted circles. They may value intimacy over visibility. This preference for privacy is closely connected to healthy boundaries. Boundaries help people protect their emotional well-being. They determine what information is shared, who has access to personal experiences, and how much emotional energy is invested in different relationships. Because empaths are highly sensitive to emotional dynamics, strong boundaries become especially important. Without them, they can easily become overwhelmed by the expectations, opinions, and demands of others. Privacy allows empaths to maintain control over their emotional space. It allows them to decide which parts of themselves are public and which parts remain personal. It gives them room to reflect, process emotions, and grow without outside pressure. In a world where oversharing is often normalized, choosing privacy can be a powerful act of self-respect. Many people mistakenly assume that privacy indicates fear or insecurity. In reality, privacy can reflect wisdom. It can demonstrate emotional maturity. It can show an understanding that not every experience benefits from public exposure. Some moments become more meaningful when they are protected rather than displayed. Many empaths understand this instinctively. As these patterns come together, a deeper truth begins to emerge. The silence of many empaths is often misunderstood. People may assume that quiet individuals lack confidence. They may assume that private individuals have nothing interesting to share. They may assume that limited social media activity reflects social withdrawal or emotional weakness. In many cases, the opposite is true. Silence is not weakness. Silence can be a choice. It can reflect self-control, awareness, and emotional intelligence. Many empaths understand that words carry power. Because of this, they do not feel the need to speak constantly. They often choose quality over quantity. When they do share something, it is usually thoughtful and intentional rather than impulsive. Privacy is not insecurity either. Insecurity often comes from fear of judgment. Privacy often comes from clarity about personal boundaries. An empath may fully accept who they are while still choosing not to reveal every detail of their life. Their decision to remain private is often based on values rather than fear. They understand that self-worth does not require constant visibility. Many empaths also invest their energy differently from highly visible social media users. Rather than spending large amounts of time maintaining an online image, they often invest in real-life relationships. They listen to friends during difficult times. They support family members. They offer encouragement. They build trust through presence rather than performance. These actions rarely attract public attention, but they often have a much greater impact on the lives of others. Because empaths focus so heavily on meaningful human connection, they sometimes prioritize depth over reach. They would rather have a small number of genuine relationships than a large audience that barely knows them. They often measure success differently. Instead of asking how many people notice them, they ask whether they made a positive difference in someone's life. Instead of focusing on visibility, they focus on authenticity. This perspective can be difficult to understand in a culture that often celebrates attention. Yet it reveals a hidden strength. Empaths do not always need to be seen to feel valuable. They do not always need public approval to feel worthy. They do not always need constant interaction to feel connected. Their value exists independently of algorithms, follower counts, and online engagement. It exists in their ability to care deeply, understand others, and remain true to themselves even when the world encourages them to seek attention. As we continue exploring the psychology behind empath behavior, an important realization begins to take shape. The reasons many empaths remain less visible online are rarely random. Their choices often reflect deeper emotional patterns, personal values, and a unique way of experiencing the world. While others may express themselves through constant sharing, empaths often express themselves through understanding, observation, compassion, and genuine human connection. Perhaps the most important thing to remember is that social media never tells the full story about a person. The people who post the most are not always the deepest, and the people who share the least are not always the most distant. Many empaths choose a quieter path. They protect their energy. They value authenticity over attention. They seek real connection instead of constant visibility. And while they may not always be seen online, their presence is often felt in the lives of the people around them. If these traits sounded familiar, you may understand now why some people prefer to remain in the background rather than stand in the spotlight. Their silence is not emptiness. Their privacy is not weakness, and their value has never depended on likes, followers, or public approval. Now we'd love to hear from you. Do you relate to any of these empath traits? Which reason resonated with you the most? Are you someone who prefers to stay private on social media, or do you see yourself differently after watching this video? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your story might help someone else feel understood. If you enjoyed this video and want more content about psychology, empathy, emotional intelligence, human behavior, and the hidden patterns behind how people think and feel, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upcoming video. And if you found this discussion valuable, take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who might relate to it. You never know who needs this message today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And remember this: sometimes the people who speak the least are the ones who understand the most. We'll see you in the next video.